So for today's video, I wanted to talk about the next 5 UCS sets that I want to see LEGO release, my next 5 predictions, whatever you want to call it. This is my top 5 list of UCS sets that I want to see. A few criteria I did for this. I tried to be as realistic as possible and no remakes. There were a few remakes that I would like to see, just I didn't want to include that because I felt like that would be too easy. Obvious shout for me is the Imperial Shuttle. I would love to see that remade, but I just didn't want to include remakes on this list because it probably would have taken up like 2 or 3 slots. Another bit of criteria, like I said, I want it to be realistic and not a piece of criteria, but there's actually no original trilogy sets on this list. I just couldn't find anything. I looked through everything original trilogy that they've made as Playscale sets, and there was just nothing that I saw in Playscale that they haven't already made as UCS that I would want. Just me personally, there could be something like maybe a TIE bomber was probably the most obvious thing that I saw where I was like, that could go on the list, but I decided to leave it off for these other 5 on here. I have 3 Clone Wars / prequel sets. 2 of them are prequel / Clone Wars. One of them I believe is just Clone Wars. And then 2 other shows, other movies, other properties, whatever. So starting off at number 5, we have a UCS U-Wing. This is the only non-prequel, actually that's a lie, there's one other non-prequel on here. This is probably my most wanted Rebel ship in UCS scale, including remakes. It would be, I have prices for all these, it would be a $240 set in my opinion, and a similar scale to the X-Wing and A-Wing from recent years. Both of those are very large. I think they could definitely do this in the same scale where it's like a little oversized for a minifigure, but it looks absolutely incredible on display. It would come with an Andor fig with crazy detail, hopefully similar to like the Luke pilot that they did with the X-Wing. And yeah, I think this would just be my number 1 pick for a Rebel UCS set. Next up, at number 4, I have a UCS ARC 170. This would be either, I had it from $240 to $300. I think they could do it anywhere in that range. I think hopefully it would be more towards the $240 range, but knowing Lego, it will be more towards the $300 range. It would come with a clone pilot, very highly detailed, similar to what I said before, kind of like what they do with the other UCS sets where they take like a normal figure and kind of juice it up a little bit. Like they already had the Luke's pilot from the other Playscale X-Wing sets. With the UCS one, they have like dual molded legs, arm printing, all that. So in this one, they would give us a clone pilot, kind of similar to they did with the Playscale one. Those ones are already incredible, but just a little extra details here and there. And another figure I would want to see in this set would be kind of a callback. I doubt they'd do it, but the 2010 ARC 170 came with a Kit Fisto figure, and we haven't gotten one of those in a while, and that's something I would like to see in this set potentially as a second figure, especially if they do it more towards the $300 price range. I feel like you kind of have to put at least 2 figures in it at that point, at least for this kind of set, where you can have multiple figures in the cockpits, especially if they do make it where it can hold figures, then you're talking 3 to 4 figures in this set, if they do the extra figure or not with Kit Fisto. I just think it would be a cool callback type thing. I'm going to have another set on here, really 2 more sets on here that are kind of callbacks to their Playscale versions from previous years. Number 3, I think this one honestly is the least likely, but this is just kind of a grail set that I have growing up. It was probably one of the sets I wanted the most as a kid. I regret not picking it up because I could have gotten it at the time. I decided to get some other stuff. But for me, it is the UCS Republic Frigate. This one would probably be a $400-ish set in my opinion. That's what I have it written down as here. I think it would be definitely smaller, significantly smaller than the UCS Venator, but quite a bit bigger than a lot of like the $200 to $300 UCS sets. Like I'd probably like it to be maybe a little bit bigger than that UCS Slave one back there, a little bit longer. Obviously it's going to be a completely different shape, but probably a little bit bigger than that one because that's already a big model, and it would just need to be a little bit bigger than that because it's a lot more flat. Now I chose to do the frigate for this one just because personal bias on it, and It's a little bit more recognizable for a lot of like Clone Wars prequel fans and all that. It was between that and the Red Republic Cruiser, which I was fortunate enough to get a couple years back on resale. I paid a good amount for it, about the same as what I had, a little bit less than what I said the UCS model for this should be, but that's a great set. It was one of the Grail sets I had as a kid, but I want the, not had as a kid, I wanted as a kid, but I really want the frigate to go alongside that. So the figures for this set, I would want a Phase 2 Commander Wolf, kind of a callback to the Phase 1 Wolf that was in the original one. Maybe throw an extra Wolfpack Trooper in there, but I don't think that's really necessary. Would be really nice to include, but you definitely don't need it. And then Quinlan Voss, because he was included with the original one, and it would just be a really cool, really unique figure that's hard for them to fit in anywhere else. That's it for my number 3 spot. On to number 2. This one might actually be the least likely unless they do it exactly like next year, because I believe Ahsoka Season 2 comes out next year. It might be 2027. But either way, if we don't get it within the next 2 years, I doubt we're ever going to get it, and that's the UCS Ghost. It would be, I put it in the $400 to $500 price range. I think around like Jabba's sail barge kind of scale. Obviously, it's a lot wider than the Jabba sail barge, but like I think that 4,000 to 5,000 piece count is what you'd have to do for this. I don't think you quite need UCS Falcon scale for this set. I think that would be super overkill, especially since it's not as, nowhere near as recognizable as the Falcon, obviously. It's not the most recognizable ship by the general public, but with them doing, putting it in the Ahsoka series, I think it's definitely going to become more popular rather than what it was just in Rebels. So again, $400 to $500 set on this one. Hopefully more towards the $500 price point so we can get that little extra oomph in there. I would have quite a few figures in here. I would have the full Ghost crew and an Ahsoka figure, just so you can kind of have both time periods. I don't think it's realistic for them to include figures from both time periods, like multiple instances of Hera, multiple instances of Sabine. I don't think that's super realistic. However, I think just having the original Ghost crew and Ahsoka would be more than enough for most people. On to my number 1 spot. Now, I do have a little kind of conspiracy theory with this one. I highly, highly doubt my theory is true, but when I was coming up with this list, I was just kind of like, wonder if they're doing this type thing. And my number 1 set would be a UCS Turbo Tank. Now, this one I put as a $500 set. I would hope they could have it around that price point, just because, again, it would be probably about as long as the UCS sail barge. That thing is absolutely huge, and I think just a turbo tank in that scale, where it is just like 2 feet long, 1.5 feet long, would be absolutely amazing. Thing would be huge, thing would be tall, it would have the huge wheels on it rather than the little baby wheels they have on the current one in play scale. Like I said, $500 set, hopefully with some Kashyyyk clones, maybe a Commander Gree, something like that to go along with it, some crazy clones with it. And another callback, I don't think this set in particular is the least likely. I personally think the frigate is probably the least likely. Like I said, other than the Ghost, if we don't get the Ghost in the next 2 years, I don't think we're ever going to get it. I think the frigate is the least likely overall. But I think this specific figure callback would be absolutely incredible. I know plenty of people that would love it, but I think there is almost no chance they're going to do it. Now, this would be a dream come true if they did, but they're never going to include a light-up Mace Windu with this set. I think it would be absolutely incredible if they did it, but there is just no chance that they would. I think Lego is far past that. I think they may have even said they would never do it again. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but I think I've seen or heard some other people say that they would never do it. But if they did do that, it would be amazing, and this could be one of the best UCS sets ever made. So yeah, that's my list of 5. Let me know if you liked my list, if you thought my list was horrible in the comments below. Comment below what you want the next UCS set to be. I don't think we know it yet. I know there's a lot of rumors circling around out there, but hopefully, if it isn't already rumored, it's one of these 5, especially that turbo tank. I would love that. Now, my conspiracy theory about that, I almost forgot to throw that in here, but my theory about it is that they made the current one so bad just so they could release a UCS one that is absolutely incredible after people have already bought the old one. So they're gonna go out of their way to have people buy this old one, which I know not a lot of people are, at least in the online Star Wars community. A lot of people are avoiding buying it, but I'm sure there's plenty of grandmas and grandpas and moms and dads going out there buying it for their kid for their birthday or Christmas coming up or whatever. I think they made the current one, since it's been so long, it's been like 9 years since they made a previous turbo tank. I think they made the current one so bad to try and milk as much out of minimal effort that they can, so they can then next year hopefully make a amazing UCS turbo tank to then double up on those purchases, or just to have the expectations for it so low that they can then come out and hopefully wow us with this. Now, I know that is almost certainly wrong, but I would love it if it was true, because that is by far my most wanted UCS set. Now, that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, comment below what you think of my list and what your list, or even just your most wanted UCS set would be, because I know coming up with 5 is a lot. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, it means a lot.